Okay, this is a brief lecture about Viktor Frankl's ideas regarding sport and the kind of abstract, interesting idea of sport as cultural asceticism and a kind of sacrificing of the body in a way, which is somewhat dangerous. I mean, I think this idea of sport and risk go hand in hand, and it's very interesting in the sense that you might see like the spelling bee and chess, and even like e-sports, what qualifies, as esports, on ESPN. But the reality is, sport requires some threat or risk to the body, and so everything from horse racing to hockey to football to baseball to soccer to long distance running and even golf. You wouldn't think of golf as any way dangerous or risky to the body, but I promise you, these golfers who play professionally for many decades, they all have arm issues and back issues, and the nature of sport in that sense is a kind of danger and an asceticism. So before I go on, I should say that asceticism means a kind of curtailing of the comforts or pleasures of the body. So it's a kind of enforcing of a discipline of strictness on the body. That's what the aesthetic is. And so, what are the four theses of this chapter? Frankl asserts, in contrast to the homeostasis hypothesis. So, homeostasis means kind of equilibrium or just staying the same, right? In contrast to the homeostasis hypothesis, I would like to propound the following four theses. One, man not only does not primarily care for tension reduction, he even needs tensions. Two, therefore, he is in search of tensions. Three, today, however, he does not find enough tensions. Four, that is why he sometimes creates tensions. And for Frankl, what he's going to talk about is sport is a kind of tension. And so we will, because we don't want homeostasis, we don't want a sort of, I don't know, bland sameness, do all kinds of fun and crazy things that threaten our body. We'll go skiing, or we'll jump out of airplanes, or we'll rock climb, or we'll rollerblade. Um, and there's an asceticism to that, right? A kind of strictness on the body. To the degree that man is spared want and tension, he loses the capacity to do what? To the degree that man is spared want and tension, he loses the capacity to endure them. Most importantly, he becomes incapable of renunciation. It's a very interesting idea that, we have to put ourselves to the test and endure a kind of suffering or a strictness and austerity for the body. And, we can't just play Fortnite. We can't just watch stuff on TV. We just can't watch Monday Night Football, right? We have to do it ourselves. And so, kind of pop cultural sense, these mediated technologies, what, uh, I mean, to what extent do we become the, Madden quarterback playing our video game rather than, exercising our real body? Uh, and then Frankl says this. He says, "Where danger lurks, there rescue is near." And it's a very interesting idea. I mean, I don't want to say too much about it other than, when there is risk, there's always somebody there to help. Sports allow man to build up situations of emergency. What he then demands of himself is unnecessary what? Viktor Frankl contends sports allow man to build up situations of emergency. What he then demands of himself is unnecessary achievement and unnecessary sacrifice. In the midst of a sea of affluence, islands of asceticism emerge. And so, I mean, like, so nobody forces one to run a 10K, right? Or climb a mountain or uh, do a triathlon or something like that. It's a kind of willful moving of the the kind of what capacities of the body. Very interesting. Frankl regards sports as the modern form of what? Frankl says this. He says, "In fact, I regard sports as the secular form of asceticism." Right? Again, there's that word asceticism, and so, I mean, to define it again, I'll try to paraphrase. Asceticism is the kind of strict discipline of the body. It comes from a sort of monastic metaphor, right? Like the monks might only eat like bread and water and be super, super disciplined. And, we can be very disciplined about our body. So this question and assertion by Frankl is about sort of self motivation and self competition. And so the question is the optimal motivation in sports requires one to do what? And Frankl asserts this. He says the optimal motivation in sports to maximize the results requires one to compete with oneself rather than with others. And then the idea is who is greater, you or you? And that's an interesting question if like you're always competing with yourself versus other benchmarks, right? All right, very good.